Welcome to All Things Moore County, Moore County's weekly radio show, highlighting the many facets of the Sandhills. That includes real estate, lifestyles, community, and neighborhood. And now, from 4 Properties, here's your host, Bill Sahadi.
Our house in the middle of our street. Our house.
Good morning, and welcome to the last show of the year, Dorothy. By the way, I hope you had a Merry Christmas. Do you believe this weather?
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
Oh my, it's like Easter. It's so warm out. I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas, and this past week it was a joy to drive around Moore County and see all the kids and their parents and the Christmas shopping the spirit and the services at the various churches and everybody honoring a religious and a very special holiday.
Yeah.
How many times have we done shows where we've had themes about kids and mentoring?
I don't have that many fingers. I can't count that high.
And coaching? Quite a few.
Oh, yeah, lots and lots and lots.
So it's no small coincidence that today we're going to be speaking about a lot of issues in Moore County that affect the children, the students, the parents, the county at large, with a backdrop of a very tough economic environment. And we're very privileged to have with us today the chairman of the Moore County Commissioners, Nick Picerno. Merry Christmas. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good.
And we're also very privileged to have the North Carolina State Representative, the candidate, J.D. Zumwalt for the 52nd District.
Yes.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you.
It's good to see you again.
I appreciate seeing you as well.
We have, you were the mystery guest last week when Nick and I were talking, and Nick said he was going to come on and he was going to talk about the upcoming primary in March, Nick, but you couldn't tell me who you were bringing with you.
That's correct. There was some conversation going on with me and John as to was John ready to make that plunge into this political world, because John's a lot like me. We're not politicians. We're just citizens of Moore County,
right?
Citizens of North Carolina, just want to have a better place to live.
Right. In talking to you and J.D. and reading the article in the Pilot the other day, it seems to me that you and Nick sort of have like a mutual admiration society. It was nice to read.
Well, very much so, but to be honest with you, when I heard about the mystery guest, I was afraid it might be Boles because I didn't know much about this. So I'm glad I'm sitting across the table from him right now.
Is that right?
Yeah.
We so you filed last week, and has the filing come and gone for other candidates? It's all over with?
Yes, it ended at noon yesterday.
Okay. Very briefly for our listeners, the Moore County Commissioners, it's the chief governing body of Moore County?
That's correct.
And the responsibilities?
Well, we have the authority to tax you on your home.
Right.
We fund about 24 different departments throughout the county. The most impact we have, I think, is through our support of public education, our support of law enforcement, EMS, and to some degree now we have created a new unified fire district, meaning that we now charge one tax rate for fire coverage throughout the county.
Yeah.
And all those things lead up to try to give better quality of life for our citizens.
Right. J.D., I'm a big believer in first impressions, and a couple of months ago we had a chance to have dinner and with some of your friends, and it was you struck me as a highly principled, extremely honest and straightforward person with a tinge of a pretty good sense of humor, dry as it might be.
Well, I appreciate that, Bill. I was just sitting there thinking I wish I could have that first joke I tried back.
It was pretty good. Tell me a little bit about your background, how you and Nick know each other, and how this situation sort of evolved to where you are, because I think it's a great story.
Okay. Let me talk about Nick and I first. We've known each other how many years?
It's probably 6 or 7 years. We met in church.
Yep.
Sunday school teacher.
Yep. Well, I was, if you can believe this, I was Nick's Sunday school teacher, although the format I use for teaching Sunday school is such that I learn much more from them than they learn from me, and I mean that. And I did learn a lot from Nick, and we just kind of meshed. We became friends over the years, and when he became a county commissioner, I was thrilled. I didn't care so much about his knowledge in politics. I didn't care about I was thrilled because I knew that he was a principled man, and he was a man of character, and he was a man who would do what was right no matter what. And much to my surprise, I found out he's also very competent, and he's an excellent leader, and he knows a lot about the finances. He has a mind for it. He understands it, and he has a way of bringing people together, and he listens to people. That's what I think has made him successful as a commissioner.
The primary is coming up in March. There are a lot of issues on the table for Moore County that are, I have to just tell you, as a real estate broker, I've seen over the last 8 to 10 years, our population is growing. The number one reason we're getting all these young families is our school system, our quality of life, our tax base, our safety. And there are a lot of these things that you're very passionate about, and there are so many different topics that you have to talk about today. But your wife was a teacher. You want to talk a little bit about her? Well,
we met at the time that she was going to college.
You're right.
And she had just graduated and gotten her master's. She got her teaching certificate, and she taught the entire time we were married. She was a teacher. I was in the military, obviously, and I guess that's not so obvious, but I was in the military. We traveled around. She got certified in each state. And I've discovered this about all teachers, much to my surprise. You would think I would know this. They are passionate about these kids. They love these kids. Right. They don't do it just for the money, but they cannot afford to donate their time. They have families to raise as well as they do to teach. Right. And that's you might say that has become my biggest passion. She passed away in February, and I've kind of taken this on as my number one cause, if you will, for this political season.
Right. The politics, Nick, of Moore County, it's not what we see on TV, the Republicans and the Democrats. It's not about that. It's about what's best for the citizens of Moore County. And the county has been struggling with a backdrop of a very tough economy and getting proper funding and monies channeled into the county. There are a lot of challenges going forward.
That's correct, and that's one of the reasons that me and I think John are connecting, and the reason that I'm glad to see him step up to the plate. We've been having a lot of conversation with our representatives in Raleigh, and a couple of the things we've identified is really hurting Moore County. Now, to give you an example, in the last budget, which I think overall the General Assembly did a good job,
right.
They passed a sales tax expansion. In other words, the base on the things that are you now charge sales tax has expanded. Well, in their wisdom, they decided that all 100 counties would not benefit from that expansion. In their wisdom, they decided they would split that up amongst 79 counties. Moore County was not one of those counties. What that means to the common words would be, if you're a citizen in Moore County, you spend your tax dollars here, you pay sales tax, they're now taking that new sales tax money and shipping it off to other counties. Now, Moore County is a very giving county, but we need representatives in Raleigh that will stand up and say, why are you excluding Moore County?
Well, I
asked that question. Right. I sent a personal email to all three of our representatives. To this day, Senator Tillman has not given me an answer, nor Senator Boles. All I got from Senator McNeil, our Representative McNeil, was a short answer that it was a good budget. He didn't like all the things in it, but he passed it. Now, it's funny to me that both Representative McNeil and Senator Tillman both live in Randolph County. Randolph County got the fourth largest distribution of that sales tax. So I need, as a Moore County representative, I work for people in Moore County. That's my passion. I need a representative that will represent Moore County. I'm not saying that we don't have that. I'm saying in this particular issue, where was our voice?
J.D., the people that know you, and I read a lot of your blogs, and You have a tremendous amount of support among some very loyal people who know you to be extremely straightforward and direct, and you don't give a hoot about what people think. I mean, you're going to say what you believe, period, end of story. And it's that kind of passion that you're trying to bring to the table and to the attention of the Moore County citizens.
Well, that's exactly right. It's funny to hear. I'm supposed to say I don't give a hoot. You're from New York. You're not
That's
supposed
right.
to say that.
That's right.
But let me talk about that passion. It's a true passion. It's a pure passion. It's a passion from the right motivation.
Right.
It's about the people of Moore County. I don't want people to turn their radio off, but I would like to read one sentence from the North Carolina Constitution. That's from Section 2, Article 1. And it says what Nick was just talking about. It says all political power is vested in and derived from the people. Can I read it one more time?
You can.
All political power is vested in and derived from the people. That means we work for them. Right. It means that, if I may use a short analogy that I thought of on the way over here, I've never had servants, but if I did have servants and I sent for my butler and he sent word back to me saying that his assistant wants to know what I want, and I sent word that saying I would like to know about my car, and he never got back with me again, that is the analogy that I would like to use, because I did send an email to my opponent and asked him if I could talk to him. His assistant sent one back and said, what do you want? And I said, I would like to talk about education, and I never heard from them. What is my point? My point is this. I will go to Raleigh with a servant's heart, understanding fully that I work for the people of Moore County. And you will hear from me. I will be there. I've got no other job. I've got no outside interests. Well, of course, I do woodworking and things like that. I have my grandchildren, but there's no other job. There's no one who can. There's no special interest that I'm concerned with. I am the servant of the people. I almost want to throw up hearing myself say that, because it's the same sleaze you hear from the national politicians, and all I can do is plead and say, hey, get me there, and I'll show you.
Yeah. You know, you mentioned the national politicians. Mm-hmm. The media sets up both the Democratic and the Republican candidates like a boxing match, like it's a sporting event, and they goad them. And it's all about entertainment, and it's all about ratings, and it's as toxic as it can be. Yeah, when you run a race, you have an opponent, but that opponent, it's not personal. It's all about principles, it's all about philosophy, and it's never going to be personal with you, is it?
Let me say something about my opponent, and he may feel free to use this in any of his ads. He is a good man.
Yes.
I've heard nothing negative about him personally. I don't know anyone I've ever mentioned his name, and in full disclosure, his business took care of my wife's remains, and they did a very professional job, and I honestly and truly can think of nothing ill to say about him.
Right.
Now, I do not think he has done a good job representing us in Raleigh, and if I did, I would not be running. This is if you've ever tried this, it's no fun.
Right.
But I will have some things to say ill about the job he did. But I want him and everyone else out there to know, no, there's nothing personal in this. It's not a vendetta. Sure. It's not an attack. He's a good man.
The point of a good campaign is to provide the voting public with good, sound information. Problem is, there's so much misinformation that gets out into the press, on social media. Mm-hmm. How are you going to combat that? How are you going to set the records straight?
That is an excellent question, and I have the answer.
Okay.
I pride myself on facts. I pride myself on anything that I say. Okay. I will provide you a place that you can find that. For example, when I speak of his record, I'll refer you to the official records in Raleigh that are very easy to find online. You can find his voting record. You can find the bills that he's introduced.
Right.
You don't have to take my word. All I am is the guy who points you in that direction.
Right.
So I plan to stick to facts.
If you stick to the facts, you never have to be emotional.
That's right.
You never have to raise your voice.
Well, you'll excuse me. I do get emotional at times, and I do raise my voice. But I'm very, 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 very.
But your emotion, you getting emotional is about your heart. Yeah. It's not about making somebody else wrong. Yeah, and
exactly.
it's dealing with the facts. Tell me about the primary season. JD's filed. You've got a little more than 3 months between now and the primary?
That's correct.
We want to talk about some of the issues. There's been a lot of information in the pilot. What do you guys see as the key components of the themes that you're going to be presenting to the people of Moore County between now and, I guess, early March?
Well, I'll defer to John on the things because he's actually running. I'm actually in office. So I've got work to do is trying to find out a way to fund 4 huge capital projects that Moore County Schools have presented to the Board of Commissioners.
Right.
The first of that is a sales tax referendum, which will be on the March ballot. I sincerely hope that the people of Moore County will understand this is the best way. It's not the only way, but it is the best way to get us a steady stream of revenue coming into the county that our commissioners have dedicated by resolution that will be spent 100% on capital school construction for Moore County schools.
I've done some reading on the tax, and being in the real estate business, I still agree with you that it is not the property tax. The sales tax is not a regressive tax. I completely get that. Why wouldn't the citizens of Moore County, what possible objections could they have to this sales tax?
Well, I mean, it's what you mentioned at the very part of your show. It's gotten to where everything is toxic, and they made it a political issue. We were brought to our attention in the very first meeting we had after we announced our intentions that the sales tax was not the way to go, that the property tax was. And it was strictly Democratic, left-thinking.
Okay.
They made it a political issue from the day one, and we haven't even really got into it. And that's when I said, all right, I'm going to show them like John does. I'm going to go in and show them Moore County already pays more than and they brought up all the surrounding counties and their tax rates. Well, when you actually apply the rate times the value, which is the true property tax bill, it's 2 components, not one. It's not just rate, it's times value. You'll find that Moore County per capita pays more than any of those counties. Yet they wanted to use the rate, which is they picked one piece of information and try to build a case around it.
Right.
A lot of people have done that with the Bible. They'll take one line of the Bible and they'll build a religion.
That's right.
Well, the story is the whole story.
Right.
And if they're going to come after our commissioners, they're going to come after the facts of the whole story. And I'm going to present that to the people and let them make the decision.
Do you think, J.D., that you have the Moore County citizens listening? They're hearing. Are they attuned to this subject?
That's a 2-part question. One, the first answer is they are absolutely attuned to this subject. The second part of this is, can I get that message to them?
Right.
That's my ball game to win or to lose. If I can get the facts to them, I think I've got a pretty good chance. If the election were held today, I'd lose by the biggest landslide in Moore County history, but it's not being held today. I've got a lot of time, and as I said, I'm not in this to make a point. I'm in it to win and be a servant.
And regardless of the outcome, the process of the next 3 months is educating the people. And if it goes your way, terrific. If it goes the other way, at least that attention is given to the topic that you want to throw light on. It's a win-win for the citizens of Moore County, isn't it?
Well, it's very hard for me to believe that if I were to lose this, that my opponent would not go back to Raleigh and well aware that people want to hear about some of these issues. And I can't help but think that he would address them. And I firmly believe he's going to address them during this campaign period.
Yeah. I like the way you describe yourself as a servant. This is not about money. This is not about you. This is about serving, and it's about giving back.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to come back in the second set. We're speaking with J.D. Zumwalt, who is state representative candidate, and Nick Picerno, the chairman of the Moore County Commissioners. This is All Things Moore County. Welcome back to our conversation with Nick Picerno and J.D. Zumwalt. We're going to be talking about a lot of the issues in the upcoming primary, and we ended the first set talking about getting the right information out to people and what can people trust. I know I don't like going home after work and turning on the TV because I don't like anything. I don't believe anything CNN or Fox News says. If I hear breaking news one more time because the sun is going to rise the next morning, that's not breaking news. Everything is like the entertainment business. How do you cut through all that and just get to facts?
Well, that's a good question. What we've done in Moore County, and you can see this now, we have created a brand new website. We post all of our meetings online. You can listen to them online. You can come to our meetings. The seats are hard. That's why we put it online. But we also have created what we call a dashboard system. Every statistical measure for Moore County government is now online. You can go see for yourself the actual statistics. You don't have to trust anybody's spin of it.
Right.
They're there, and they are what they are for you to interpret. So that's the only way I know to do it.
Yeah. You know, I will I'll make a comment, an observation.
Okay.
And it's going to be an indirect compliment to J.D., and you're going to say, gee, Bill, I can't believe you said that. But you've had the experience. You've been in the political arena, whether as a commissioner, whether you like it or not,
That's
you
right.
have been. You know how to answer questions. You know how to dodge bullets. J.D., you will be a breath of, and don't take this the wrong way, you will be a breath of fresh air the way you speak, the way you eyeball-to-eyeball contact with people, and how you approach the issues. No nonsense. You don't want to be a politician, do you?
No, I don't. I've got to defend my friend, even though you did not shoot at him.
Right.
I did see him turn around
He's smiling.
One time at a open meeting and harshly asked some very harsh questions of our three representatives of the state. So he is by no means does he duck issues.
Right.
I know you weren't accusing him, but listen,
no.
he's my mentor, and I am so happy to emulate him all I can when it comes to that.
Right. But the straight, I think people are going to receive you very well with your approach. How are you going to market the message?
Well, 20, 30 years ago, I wouldn't have had a prayer. I don't know much about raising money. I don't know even how much it's going to take for me to win this. But I do know how to use the internet, and I do know how to use Facebook and those things, and they are free. And it's a very big, it's a great way to get your message out. So I'm depending on a lot of word of mouth, and I'm depending on people to talk about this election. And I had someone say to me the other day, your opponent's a good guy, but it's time for change. And I said to them, that's not why I'm running, because it's time for change. If he's doing a great job, I would be happy to leave him there forever.
Right.
I think it's time for us to do the business of the people of Moore County.
Okay. Let's talk about the business of the people of Moore County. Issue number one is the sales tax.
Well, the issue number one is construction of schools and how to pay for it, and sales tax is one means of that.
Okay.
The argument that I'm making that and the reason I'm so frustrated with Moore County representation in Raleigh is we have sent resolution after resolution to Raleigh asking them to fix the lottery distribution. It's supposed to be 40% lottery distribution to capital needs. That's down to less than 19%. They keep shifting the money and moving it around. So we've asked them to stop that, to fix it. They're in control. They said they were going to go fix things. Go fix things. They fund the school systems by using system-wide data when they know that if we have 4 schools and they're mandating one teacher to every 18 students and we got 100 kids in school, that means you got 25 in each classroom. It means you need 2 teachers in each classroom. They pay you for 5.5, not 8. So the Moore County property taxpayers pick up the other 2.5. I can go on and on and on, and those are the issues. That's why I'm upset with our representation in Raleigh, and I have made these things known to our representatives, and I don't see any motion or action to go and actually attack and fix these problems. They know they exist, but they're not getting fixed, and I expect them to fix them for Moore County.
JD, it sounds like they manipulate information for their own advantage.
Well, I guess one could say that. I would say they go to Raleigh and they run a 25-meter dash, and they come back and make it sound like they climb Mount Everest. They give our teachers a $750 bonus, which I wouldn't be nearly as upset by if they hadn't come back and lorded it over them like they had just won the lottery. It's ridiculous. They do. I think that things are spun. I am under no illusions, Bill or Nick, that I can go up there and the first year I'm there, change things, everything will be wonderful. I'll pass all kinds of bills, but I will tell you this, I will bring them up. We'll be talking about them, and folks in the newspaper and television and back here in Moore County will know and understand that they've got a voice up there and that we are trying. And I think it will force other legislators to talk about these issues as well. I don't think they can help but do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want no one to think that I'm naive. I imagine my opponent sitting home now thinking, well, wait till you get up there. Wait till these guys talk to you. Wait till they approach you. Bring them on. I'm ready for them. I will not back down from these issues.
Do you plan to have any debates or any conversations directly with Jamie in between now and March?
Two things. One, I've been asked to speak at the Republican Women's Club on January the 4th, and he's invited as well, but we're both just speaking. I would like to use your format here to challenge him to a debate.
Yeah.
Anytime, any place.
Yeah.
Of his choosing or anyone else's, and anyone who's listening to this who would like to sponsor, including you.
Well, you're invited.
Okay.
So if Jamie Boles, and he's a good man too, like you said, I would love to have you gentlemen both back on sometime after the first of the year when it would be worthwhile for both of you. And I would be more than happy to help facilitate a conversation that you guys can have together, eyeball to eyeball.
I gladly accept that invitation.
Done. And we'll try to make that happen.
Good. Thank you.
Let's talk about the schools. There are a couple of different, the Board of Education and the county commissioners have been working very closely together, have they not?
That's correct. It was some time, and it took some time in doing, but we convinced them that we have the same goal.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that Moore County educational system is the finest in the state.
Right.
That does not mean we have unlimited funds.
Right.
So what you have to do is marry those two visions.
Right.
We're not raising the property tax rate right now because we already did that 7 years ago in the last revaluation. We're actually taking in more money than we need to fund government at this time as far as the necessities that we are funding, but we're setting aside that money for public education construction because we're not getting the support we need from Raleigh.
Most people that I know in the 15 or 16 years I've lived here, they're proud to live in Moore County. They are a very giving community. I asked you a question, and I'll ask you, J.D. Why would people be opposed to the sales tax increase if they're going to be a direct beneficiary and make life here for people of all ages better?
I can tell you exactly why they'd be opposed, because I'm the kind of guy who would be opposed to it. Because everything that one hears about a new tax, a guy like me, my age, 66, the first thing you think, more tax, more tax.
Right.
I'm sick of this.
Right.
The school board and the board of commissioners, county commissioners, had the wisdom to come together and work together well. I wish all politicians would. And they had the wisdom to facilitate this tax. And I wish people would get educated about it.
Right.
I will be talking a lot about it. It is it's not the same old tax to be spent on whatever a person would like to spend it on. It's to be spent on, Nick?
Public school construction.
Period. End of story.
End of story. We're going to actually create a fund that money will go into, much like we did with the Digital Learning Fund. It will be transparent to the people of Moore County. They'll see, because the commissioners will also review all the invoices, and they have to pass on it as well. So you have two layers of people's eyes looking at these expenditures.
And it does not apply to...
Oh, the sales tax itself does not apply to a lot of the necessities, such as gasoline, groceries, and there's a lot of other things that it does not apply to. For a complete list, we've actually have it on our website now. Really good explanation. Go to Moore County Government, and you can Google that, and we have a big penny there. You click on that, and it gives you all the information in detail about this.
Okay. The schools are overcrowded. Some of the schools are from the 40s. Some of the schools need to be either rebuilt, renovated. The schools need money to keep up with all the changes in Moore County. We've got some very old schools. The Aberdeen Primary, the Southern Pines Elementary School, that was the old high school. Is the sales tax going to be earmarked towards those projects as well?
Well, you got to understand, that's just one piece of the funding.
Right.
That in itself will not build these schools.
Right.
We've still got to put property tax money, the leftover,
Right.
what I'm talking about, not really leftover, but the excess that we have right now, a huge part of that is earmarked to go into this fund. We actually contribute $5.5 million right now to that fund. So there's a lot of money going in that. Now the school board has to make the wise decision to prioritize that within the ability to pay for it. That is the key. You've got to prioritize to build it with the ability to pay. That's what we've been trying to tell them for years and years and years and years.
It's going to be an interesting 3 months coming up. We're speaking with candidate J.D. Zumwalt for North Carolina State Representative and Chairman of the Moore County Commissioners, Nick Picerno. We'll be right back.
In the middle of our street, our house. In the middle of our house, it has a crown. In the middle of our street, our house. In the middle of our house, it has a crown. There's always
Welcome back to our final set. Time is going to go real fast today. We're speaking with J.D. Zumwalt, who is a candidate. He'll be running against Jamie Boles, North Carolina State Rep. J.D., the people that know you, you don't need to talk to. They know you, and they know your heart, and they know how principled you are. It's the people that don't know you. So if you permit me, I'll play devil's advocate on just a couple of things, because these are questions that people are going to probably ask you. Why do you think you are the right guy for the job, and why you? Why not someone else?
Well, the fact of the matter is that I am not the only guy for the job, but I'm the only guy who, at the moment, has stepped up to do the job.
Right.
The guy sitting across from me would be much better than me, and I would wish there was a way he were running and not I. But I will tell you, if I had to say why am I the right guy for the job, I would say this. I am well aware that I will not go to Raleigh as an expert. I am well aware that I'll have to talk to teachers, administrators, parents, and believe me, I will. If I have a question about the police operations or fire operations, I will talk to them. They will have my ear. In fact, I will seek them out. While I'm on the subject of seeking people out, I want to say a word, and I hope I can say it correctly without being misunderstood by our black community. I would love to, I'll issue a statement right now. I wish our black community would become more involved. I wish you would tell us how we can help you and how we can work with you. Don't wait until things are bad, someone is shot or hurt or whatever the case may be. Approach us now. My good friend Nick would love to hear from you. I know I would, and I'm sure my opponent would. Get involved in politics, and let's change things that for everyone, not just some of us.
Okay. You don't have, you've had a 20-year military career, but you don't have political experience per se. Is that a negative, or is that in these days a positive?
I would say that the fact that I don't have political experience is probably my number one qualification.
I think you're right. It's amazing what's going on in our world, and I think you might be right. Your populist position evening, if it can resonate, it would be, and it's difficult, isn't it, in Moore County to unseat an incumbent? I mean,
well, I guess when I first ran, it was an open seat.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Does it? Do you have the support of the Republican Party?
I'm guessing the Republican Party doesn't even know who I am. I'm guessing that when they read this in the paper, the number one question was, who's J.D. Zumwalt? And the number two statement was, why would he bother? But I will be speaking with them, and I hope I do. I know there are some Republicans and some Democrats who are on board with the incumbent. There's nothing I could do, nothing I could say, no matter how much they believed in me. They would never vote for me because they are with him. And there's a group who will vote for me no matter what, and the group that I want to talk to is the group you spoke of, the folks who do not know me. But if they will just listen, and I say this the same thing when I'm teaching Sunday school, don't take my word for it. Check me out. And instead of checking me out in the Bible on this one, check me out on everything I say through either our Constitution or the North Carolina Legislative website. Don't take my word for it.
You're also a very good writer. It's a passion of yours, and it's something that could be a very strong part of your campaign, I believe. I read a bunch of your stuff, and you write with a lot of passion and no-nonsense stuff. It gets right to the heart of the matter. And then you put your own personal spin on it, which makes it very interesting reading.
Well, I don't know what to say to that, Bill, except thank you. And, it comes from me.
Yeah, it comes from your heart.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people pick up in between the lines and I see people who comment, and probably a lot of your loyal supporters who know you and believe in you. It's a very personal style, I would characterize it as. Yeah. What's your attitude about the North Carolina legislature at large? Do you think they've done a good job?
It's a very difficult job. When I make comments about the North Carolina legislature, I'm speaking about them as a whole. I do not know anyone in that body, so I can't talk about them as individual people. But I am very, very upset with them as a whole. I'll just give you a couple of examples. The budget. We know we have to produce a budget. We know the due date. We've got teachers' assistants who don't even know if they have a job, and the legislature is still trying to decide. Not, of course, that's been decided. One of my passions, and I'm almost certain I can not get anything done about this immediately, but at least we'll talk about it, is the education lottery that Nick spoke of. Why would you ask us to vote for a lottery and tell us that this will go for education and then quietly change the law and keep taking more and more and more of it away from our education? It just doesn't make sense to me.
You think you can win?
Bill, if I did not think I could win, I would not be here. And I not only think I can win, I plan to win.
Okay. Then we plan to hear a lot about you in the next 3 months, or hear a lot from you. Nick spoke quite a bit about the sales tax and the schools, but there are other issues of a lot of concern to you. The state lottery, lottery funds. Tell me what else is on your list that you're going to be addressing during the primary.
Number one on my list is education. Now, there are folks who are listening, and I would be one of them if I weren't speaking, would be saying this. So you're one of those guys who wants to go to Raleigh, get more tax money, throw it at education. It gets just blown away. We completely waste it. Right. My position is this, and I might find out that I'm wrong, but I believe we have the money now if we spend it the way it's supposed to be spent. I believe it's already there.
Right.
And I'm not prepared at this minute to speak about pork and things of that nature, but I will be during this campaign.
Right.
And my position is this. Maybe you have a good idea for ways to spend money, but not one nickel, not one penny needs to go to saving the whatever until our children in Moore County are funded for their education fully.
Right. The challenges of growth in a county like this that has so much appeal to so many is a great opportunity for people, and it's an educational process. You don't want to become a tax and spend county. You don't want to be a county with urban issues. You can get in your car and drive 50 miles and find out what it could look like. This Moore County is a gift, and more people are coming here, and having growth is a great opportunity. This is a very positive thing. There are issues, but we have great opportunities in front of us.
Well, I'll put it to you this way. I love Texas.
Right.
And I moved to North Carolina.
Right.
So I love it here. I love Moore County.
Right.
I think it's a great place.
Right.
I am so opposed to taxing and spending.
Right.
Taxing, spending.
Right.
That's why it's so unusual to me to be in favor of this new sales tax.
People expected you to be against it, didn't they?
I think they did.
Yeah, I read something you wrote about it, and you came right out. And you're not afraid to switch a position or to say something that people might not expect, and that's what I like.
Well, I'm the kind of guy who would make a statement like, I will not support a new tax, not ever.
Right.
But I would have been wrong to say that because this tax is different.
Right.
And I might add, this tax is being voted on by the people. It's not just being thrust upon us.
Yeah. Nick, when I first came here in 1979, I was 4 years out of college. This was a place my dad came to. He would play golf with his buddies from the north, and they would come down, and Pinehurst, the Moore County area, was just a golf mecca. Today, Moore County is changing like nobody's business. We have kids and dogs and young parents and expecting moms, crowded schools. You've been here all your life. You've seen all these changes.
I have.
We're at the cusp of a completely new future.
Well, that's why, and I think John will be the same way. That's why Moore County and the government needs to be at the least, not at the forefront, but at the least in the background.
Right.
We don't need to be in people.
Yes.
The reason Moore County
Right.
is the way it is we believe that government is in most cases, is the problem. We
Right.
try to over-govern
Right.
instead of freedom and liberty that our founders laid on the Constitution. That's what we believe in. And the whole thing we've done is like the sales tax. The reason we're asking for permission for an increase for that revenue versus a property tax, that I could simply say, all right, let's go, and if I get 3 votes out of 5, we can raise your property taxes. That's all it requires.
Right.
It's easy,
Right.
but it's not smart.
Right. And that property tax would not be specifically earmarked towards a project.
No, it goes into the general fund. What
Right.
we're trying to do is create a fund that's for the specific needs of replacing and rebuilding, and continually. So it's always feeding this fund so that we don't get in this mess
Right.
in another 10 years. We don't have any money and we've got all these things and we've got to find a new revenue source. We need to be building and updating our schools on a continual cycle. And to do that, you need continual funding. But it's got to be done with the school board held to the same accountability as the Board of Commissioners. People just don't say, okay, school board, you're doing the right thing. Check their facts out like they do ours.
Yeah.
And if they'll do that, I think you'll have really smart spending in Moore County for years to come.
JD, one of the privileges of doing this show is I get a lot of passionate people who come on. There are over 650 nonprofit organizations in Moore County. They all have a reason to be, but they all have to think outside the box because they're not getting the help from the state. They have to self-generate, and I think you're talking about that, and with that tax increase, it's an ability to self-generate, a very independent spirit here. And I think you're bringing that to the table. And I think you're going to speak on the 4th of January at the Republicans Women's Club.
Yes.
Do you have any? Where do you have? Will you have a website that people can go to?
I will. I don't have it up yet, Bill.
Okay.
We're I don't know how many folks know this, but the campaign finance laws are unbelievably intricate, so we're working our way through those before we. I asked you for a bottle of water. I probably broke a law there somewhere, but I'll pay you for it if you need me to.
So starting tomorrow,
Yeah.
if people want to get in touch with you and read about some of your positions, where would you want me to send them? Your Facebook?
My Facebook page would probably be the best. And I have a Facebook page called No More, MOORE, Good Old Boys. And it has become a national site, but I intended it just to be for Moore County.
Okay.
So I'll be able to redirect them from there when we get something a little better up.
Do you have? Are you in the process of setting up different speaking engagements at different venues?
Well, I have the Moore County Republican Women is the first one, and I'm going to contact others, and I'm hoping that others will contact me as well. And Nick said he would help me as well. So.
Okay. If I can ask on a personal note, and this is maybe appropriate to wind up, what do you want people to know about you that your background brought you to this place today?
Well, my background, I've had if you heard my background, and I'll briefly tell you, I was a tugboat pilot, I was a firefighter, I was a police officer in Houston, I was in the 75th Ranger Regiment, I was in 5th Special Forces, and I served out at the Special Operations Command on the operations side. I've been in several combat tours and engagements. I've dealt with people being blown apart with IEDs, and so you ask yourself, how does that help him be a candidate? And I'll tell you how. Over those years, I've gained a passion and an empathy for people. I understand people. I understand reality, and I understand fighting for what you believe in. And I believe in being kind, being friendly, but making sure you're right, and then going ahead and doing the right thing. And that's what I hope folks will know, that I am what I am, and I will not change. And I didn't come here to sound like Popeye, like I just did, but I am very, very much what you see is what you get.
Tell me about your family.
Well, I have a daughter and two sons. My daughters own a store in Aberdeen called the Bull Run.
Right.
They named it after the place where my wife and I met in Texas. My son is a stand-up comedian in Los Angeles. He opens for some pretty big names, but he is not a big name yet.
Not yet.
He's going to be filming a movie that he is one of the stars. It'll make it to Netflix. It won't make it to the theaters, but it's called President's Day, and it's a spoof on scary movies. And I am so proud of all my kids, and I've got 3 grandchildren. 2 live here, and 1 lives in Texas. And thank you for asking, so I could talk about them.
Oh, yeah. And they're all behind you 100%, I'm sure.
Yes.
They love their dad.
Put it this way, I better get at least 7 votes.
Nick, will you tell me about your term? When does it wind down?
Well, I've got another year,
okay.
So it's not like my job ends because I didn't file. I'm still chair of the board for the 5th time, which has taken a lot of time. I'm a guy that's either all in or all out, so I'm really committed into trying to do the very best for the citizens that elected me. And I'm hoping John will have success. I hope we can get him to Raleigh, because we do need a voice for Moore County, for specific issues in Moore County that like I say, I just don't believe that they're listening to us here at the local level.
We need honesty. We need truth.
Yes, sir.
We need people that are not layered. We need people that are not feathering their own nest. And we need people that don't speak out of the 2 corners of their mouth. And it doesn't matter what side of the spectrum you're on. It's maddening what the world has become and the way information is made available and misinformation. If you can get people to listen, then that's the key. If you can get their attention and speak to their listening, that will go a long way towards a very successful primary season. JD, I wish you the best of luck. We will get in touch with Jamie Boles, and we will try to set up a show here where you guys can sit down and talk eyeball to eyeball about the issues. I think it would be great for the citizens of Moore County. And Nick, thanks for setting the show up and being a catalyst and getting this all started.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I love his passion. That's what it's about.
That's right. It is. Enjoy the rest of your holiday season, your Merry Christmas season, your Happy New Year's, and we'll see you guys hopefully in a few weeks. Nick, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to everyone.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Nothing ever slows her down, and a mess is not allowed.